Hello, welcome to Brushes and Battlements. My name's Chris, and I'm here to share with you a little project I've been working on just for a little bit of fun and for the Christmassy spirit. I've decided to take a Greater Demon of Nurgle and turn him into Santa SORES. So initially what I did was I began just going through the book, just making sure I knew what parts I wanted, and also being aware of the design of the model, because the idea with this Santa Claus or Santa SORES model is that eventually he's going to have some sort of lights inside him. So I needed to make sure that both the idea would work and also that the model would work and be appropriate for it. So basically all I did was look for the book, and here I had a little crafty sketch up just to kind of get the rough idea of what I was going for, working on the sort of base design. I had it in my head, but sometimes it's nice to have a little doodle just to know what you're going with and to get on there. So I just sort of carried on with a little bit of design just to get in the mood of what I was after. And there we go. That's the man. So as I said, I began by cutting away the pieces I needed, making sure they were the right ones and following instructions as usual, filing off any rough edges, and just building the model as we went, like we all do every day. So as I said, these were the electrical lights, or the fairy lights that I was going to try and fit into the model. They're quite nice lights actually, because I was expecting them to be very loose, but luckily they were kind of brass backed, so they were easily manipulatable in the model, so I could feed them through, which was the overall plan. So as you can see, once I built the demon, I've kept it open, I haven't glued the base down. And here what I'm doing is I'm working on removing the middle piece of the gut, because I want to have that open so you can see through inside. And there we go, that's been removed, been drilled out. I've also drilled out these eye holes in the back of the head and back of the neck. So as you can see, as you look inside, you can see light. How exciting. I also managed to drill through the arm, because I want the light to come up and kind of get into the bell as well. So there's a hole for it to come out of his wrist, out of his fist, and straight up into the side of his big bell there. There we go. I had to make it a bit wider because some of the lights are a bit more bulbous than the wire, so it's always good to check. Always good to check, but easily done with a little pen drill. The next step was obviously to make him look like Santa Claus. So I started by practicing my green skill, or green stuff skills, as it were. It's been a while since I've used green stuff, so I just wanted to get back into practice. So here I am, kind of working on how to make a beard. I started off putting a nice little blob onto the side of his bottle cap, and I've just been pulling away at the edges, pulling it down, using the sharp end of the modelling tool, just kind of making it rough and ready. And as you see, it kind of creates a sort of pulled hair effect as you go, and then just pushing back and forward and manipulating as we go. It's a bit of play work, bit of guesswork here and there, but once you get used to it, once you start working, so as you say, just pull it down, pull in layers, just gently teasing it as we go, just trying to create that sort of hair look. Luckily for this model, he doesn't have to look super realistic, because obviously I want him to look like a demon just dressed up as Santa Claus, so it can look kind of very, very fake fur or very, very fake hair, which is lucky. But as I say, it's been a while since I've done this, so this was fun to kind of get back into practice of, and I just thought I'd give it a quick go before I started on the main model, because I don't want to ruin that as I go. My green stuff wasn't very good there, you can see. So here I go on the main project. I'm moulding out the beard into sort of like a really fake, terrible costume look, because I really want him to look like he doesn't he hasn't grown a beard. He's just found a beard and stuck it on his face. So as you can see, I'm manipulating it into the right shape there. There you go, just tucking it in under his chin. And also kind of pulling it away from the bottom of the chin, because like I say, I don't want it to look like it's real. It's got to look fake, it's got to look cheesy. It's got to look like he's just decided to put a costume on and hope no one notices, because he's a tricky, tricky demon, this man. So just going to pat down the edges, get it into the right position. And then anywhere that it's kind of connected too much, we'll pull away as I start to coax it again using that method I was using earlier. And once we get into that, you'll see how it sort of pulls away as we get going. So just wetting my tool there so I don't take too much away, and as I say, as we start, we're just going to start pulling away at the edges. Just pulling it down, getting it all kind of looking straddled and bedraggled and ripped out. I want it to look like a really rough piece of fur he's just found, just to stick on his face and see what happens. And there we go, we're just manipulating it out, pulling away as you do. Ooh, a little bit too much there, but that's fine. You see that it's already starting to look like a beard. And I continued around the other side. Wet my tool again just to make sure it doesn't take too much off the edges. You always got to work with kind of wet tools. I don't like using oil when I'm using green stuff because it kind of you then have to clean the oil off before you start painting, so I tend to use water. And again, I'm just manipulating the surface. Oh, it's got a bit blurry there, that's nice. Just pulling away, there we go. Just pulling away, creating layers and rows of beard hair and some nice effects. Kind of flowing with the way the beard flows as well, kind of thinking about how the hair works. But just pulling away, just pulling to the edges, pulling from the middle. As you can see, as I'm doing that, it's also pulling it down away from his chin as well, which is nice, so it looks like it's hanging off his chin rather than being connected. And there we go, and that's me when I finish finally carving the beard. Got a few holes and matty bits, you can see it pulled away from his chin. Nice and lovely, so it looks like a terrible, terrible costume. But it also kind of looks like he's grown it because there's all the pus boils there on the side and all little bits of rough detail. Just extra bits here and there just to make it look a bit more intrigued. But of course now we see Santa needs a hat. So I started off manufacturing this sort of opal fruit looking piece of green stuff, I suppose. Not opal fruit, like a fruit pastel. Like that, little kind of round hat, just as the base of the fur. Initially I was just going to put it sort of centre on his head, but then I kind of wanted it at more of a jaunty angle, so I kind of look at this and then I reposition it, there we go. And also, by sticking it into that horn, it gives it an extra bit of purchase, so it will not move as much when I'm manipulating it later on when I start detailing it. So I'm just going to smooth it down, get it nice and flat, get it ready, and then we can start turning that into fur as well. So again, it's exactly the same sort of process basically, just not as long pulls, very small little digs and tugs here and there, just to manipulate around the edge of the hat, because this we need to look like a sort of fur hat rather than a beard. And although hair texture is kind of similar on lots of things, it's also, you can just look at Santa Claus outfit, you know the difference between hair and fur. So initially I'm just pulling it down the bottom because that's how this helps it connect to the model, and then we just start working from the top, pulling it out and pulling it round. And there you see that. Pulled it all around, so I worked from the middle down and I worked from the middle up. So it really looks like it's just fake fur kind of going in different directions. I wanted to have a different texture to the beard, and I was actually quite pleased with how that came out. So, but next we're going to do the curly over bit. I took one of the flaming bell chain things from the model kit, and what I've done is I've wrapped some of the green stuff around in sort of like a nice little funnel, and we're going to make that kind of floppy bend over. I don't even know what you call that really, sort of like a nightgown hat, isn't it? But we're going to wrap it around like that, and then I'm going to use the spare bit of plastic sticking out to also force it into the green stuff at the bottom. And there we go, so now it's connected. I detailed in some sort of lines to make it look, and as if by magic there's the rest of the green stuff done. So I put some fur around his arms just to match the fur on his head. Added some extra bits of random rags on him, and also I think we've got some belt. Yeah, look, there's a lovely belt on one side and a belt on the other side. Obviously not connecting because we've all been there, we all know what it's like at Christmas. And then I've added some extra bits of bedraggled rag to the model because I wanted it to match the rag that's on the back of him there, just hiding his modesty. And with that, it was time to paint. So I gave this a nice coat with some Army Painter spray, and then I've used some Warhammer, some Citadel spray in the middle to make it black. So I wanted the interior to kind of black and shiny, because obviously it's going to be open, but we're going to want to see those lights. And the main step I took is to dry brush, because we're going for a slap chop method. So we're using some pellet witch flesh, and we're just going to start dry brushing the model. Just to pick up those highlights, because we're going to start using speed paint. This is the first time I've used speed paint, and I wanted to give it a try. So just began lightly dry brushing all the main details, obviously picking out the beard and things like that, and all the ridges, just to kind of get a bit of extra definition on the model, just to help the stuff go along. And there's all the whites highlighted as best I can. I've also, if you notice, there's some silver in the wounds, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour that in with some paints and some speed paints to kind of make it look like he's kind of tinsel filled, because we're really going for a full-on Christmas effect on this, so we're pulling out all the stops. Next up is the speed paint red. Never used speed paint red. I've got speed paint holy white for the beard, and then the other colours we've got one speed paint which is a nice purple speed paint, and then we've just got the blue and orange there from Army Painter for extra detail parts. So this is me just applying the first start coat of the speed paint. As you can see, like, this has only just started to be put on, but already the definition is quite amazing, really. Really quite impressed with war paints and speed paint. They're quite good, so I have to give these a bit more of a go in the future. But I do really like it. And as you can see, there's lots of definition, and you just have to be careful with the white. Don't get it on anything you don't want, because obviously they all dye it because it's more like an ink. But as you can see, there's the full coverage of the red, looking very, very Christmassy. Very, very pleased. I also went over with the white, but I still need to do all the black areas and the extra coloured areas. So here we are with now filling in all the wounds with coloured paint, just to get that nice effect going. Really make it look like he's chock full of tinsel. And there we are, just finished up some colours. So I've added lots of different colours into the silver areas. We've given the horns a nice dry brush of some Agrex Earthshade. We've coloured in the bits there, and we're just going to give a quick wash over to the furs, just to make sure they pick out a bit better. And then we should be ready for the final stages. So once my model's completed, it's time to try and get this bit of lights into the model. But luckily, like we say, we've already pre-drilled, we've tested, we know it's going to work. And honestly, just make sure the lights are still going. And then begins the fun process. We're going to start feeding it through. Up through his arm again as usual. And then we're going to go out into the fist. And then round into the bell. So there's my hole pre-drilled, ready to go. Making sure I kept it all nice and open. Ready to feed through in the right way. It's a bit tricky. Make sure the bell's in, it lights in. I'm just going to bend it to the shape of the model to keep all the excess out of the way. Pull the spare through, and then we can get ready to just test fit it just before we glue it down. Ah, beautiful, beautiful. And we glue it on. And I'll just hold that in place for a bit, and then that'll be nice and glued in place. And now the other section as well is obviously to make sure that it goes up into his eyes, and there we go. What I did was I drilled out a hole in the back of his eyes, right through the back of his head, right through the back of the model. And there he is with his stomach stuffed. Look at him, amazing. Now all that's left to do is just to finish off the guy, I suppose. Get a base on and get him looking very, 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 very scary. And here's my final Nurgle Demon, Santa SORES. I really enjoyed doing this. It was a fun little project. Could have done a bit better, probably. It's supposed to be my first time using speed paints, so that was fun to use, trying to get used to a new idea of that. But I just wanted something to get me back in the hobby, something to make a video on just to get me started, because I want to do this properly and really put my effort into this, but this is just kind of my first attempt, so do bear with me. I realise it's probably a bit of an amateur video, but I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to look at my nice little picture. Look at him, there he is. I also made a nice little sack for him, just so he really themes in. But again, thank you for watching this episode. Thank you for sticking with me. And I'll leave you with some pictures, a little bit of video of him looking all scary in the evening. Have a wonderful Christmas, and I hope to see you soon, and hopefully you'll come back. Thank you.